Hello everyone, Solidarity. I was here last summer and it's so I think I share with all of you, it's been a torment for the last 2 years, but this past week has been especially difficult, and the dissonance is getting to be too much, right? Like the dissonance of how we're expected to live our daily lives here in an ethical and moral way while we're watching baby Zaina be starved to death. Those images we saw yesterday of that 1-year-old child starved to death, and they're starving. So before I want to proceed, I just want to thank everyone for continuing to come out. I know this is a very difficult week, but it matters. Do not let anybody tell you this does not matter, because the biggest danger is if we start to accept what's happening in Gaza as normal. If we take that as the premise of our life, that's the condition that they're saying to us. Silence on Gaza is what is being asked of you to have success here in these countries. And I want to say two things. Don't stop fighting, but also we need to take responsibility of how we have failed. Those are two realities we have to keep in mind. Okay, because there's no way Gaza should have been destroyed. There's no way babies should be starved to death this week. But it matters that we keep coming out. It's not enough, but this can't be the premise of our lives. Starving children and silence on that, and the slaughter of children who are trying to get water and food. Have you ever seen a horror movie in which hungry children are sniped in the head as they're trying to get food? They're drawn out for thirst and hunger, and they're being massacred, and our governments cannot condemn Israel, and they cannot call on an arms embargo even as they're sniping hungry children. What they are saying to you, what they're saying to me, what they're saying to each and every one of us is, if you want a life here, you have to be silent on that. That's what they're asking you. Or come out to this rally on Saturday, but do not escalate. Otherwise, we will take away your livelihood. If you want your livelihood, if you want success, stay silent on starving children that our government is supporting, continuing to speak of Israel as an ally 2 years into what is looking like a Holocaust, not simply a genocide. So thank you, and keep coming out. But we have to keep in mind that we will continue to fight, but we have also, to some level, not risen to the duty that was asked of us. Why have we feared repression, that we can't share the cost that the Palestinians are bearing? Each and every time we are repressed, we stand back and we say, hey, we got to be careful. We got to watch what we say, because something might get taken from us here. Where is our solidarity? If one of us fall, we all fall. We stand together. That is the spirit that we need to actually act. We have no right to be complacent. We have no right to say this is not worth it, because the Palestinians, I teach international relations. I have never in my life studied or seen a horror like this. To see modern technology used to drop 2,000-pound bombs on refugee tents. But the Palestinians, they have refused. How can we talk about the repression is too much when they have refused to surrender in Gaza? In Gaza, they do not simply suffer. We do not simply see Palestinian death and suffering. We see Palestinian resistance each and every day, from the fighters who come out of the tunnels to protect their people, to the nurses and doctors who continue to care for their people as they're being starved to death, to the parents who walk miles and miles and risk being shot to bring back food for their children, not knowing it. Look, they do not surrender and submit. So how can we even think about that here? When Anas was saying decolonize Canada, what the Palestinians have given a world that the world does not deserve is given us a chance to return to the questions we should have never forgotten. They have put again the founding of this world to question. The West founded this world on genocide. It was never ever decolonized. We never had reparations. We never had justice. The Palestinians are putting it to us. What will our collective future be? Is our collective future going to be domination and supremacy built on the corpses of Palestinian children, or is it going to be a liberated world of coexistence? That is the choice in front of us. And whether it's Canada, the United States, the UK, or Germany, each and every government in front of us is telling us they are ready to move forward in a world that's built on the genocide in Gaza. We must refuse this because it's our collective humanity that will collapse. And even if it didn't, it is not worth anything to stay silent on Gaza. Now, why are they being starved out today? Because they don't surrender. Because the Palestinian resistance 2 weeks ago stood up again and demonstrated that they will outlast the occupying army. Yeah. Go look at and the cowardice of imperialism and colonialism. Their cowardice is they cannot actually fight a fair fight. So they starve out the people of Gaza to say, if you do not surrender, if you continue to resist, we will starve your children to death in front of you. You must surrender. And this is what, and I'm going to tell you, Mark Carney doesn't want it when he speaks. He agrees with the logic of Zionism. Because let me tell you this. They're saying, we'll starve your children out. And the Western countries are now saying, hey, we want aid in. But each and every time what they say is, we want the Palestinian resistance disarmed and defeated. They say that each and every time. So what they're saying is, we don't like what's happening in Gaza, but we agree with the goals of Israel. We agree with their goals. The only question right now is disarming Israel. The question right now is stopping the flow of weapons. If you want this to end, there's no question of negotiations. Negotiations aren't going to do anything. You need to disarm the genocidaire. Those who are conducting genocide, stop the flow of weapons. It's a charade each and every week. They mock us. They mock Palestinians saying there's ceasefire negotiations. What ceasefire negotiations? Stop sending arms. There's nothing else to talk about. Those are the demands that you need to raise to them. What colonialism and imperialism has always been built upon is not a conversation. It's built upon violence and force. It is built upon any treaty or ceasefire, whether on these stolen lands or elsewhere. It's built first upon imposing genocidal force on the peoples of these lands. So what the colonizer and imperialist must always do is maintain dominance over force. That's what's at stake in Gaza today. They cannot coexist with a Palestinian people which have the means of sovereignty in their hands. That's why they're saying, you lay down your arms, Palestinian people, you leave, and we will turn you into a humanitarian case. So I also want to say to you, refuse the language of humanitarianism when it comes to Palestine. They are not a charity humanitarian case. This is a question of Palestinian freedom and Palestinian sovereignty. And it is only through the liberation of Palestine that our liberation can be possible. It is only through a liberated Palestine that there's any possibility for a just or ethical or moral world. You know that the reason the West is lined up with Israel is proxy, because they cannot let go of West Asia. They cannot let go of the flow of oil into and out of West Asia. That has imposed so much suffering on the people of the region, from Iraq to Libya to Syria. That whole region has been destroyed by imperialism. This has to stop now in Gaza. And from the victory of Gaza, so will the region be liberated, and so will the world be liberated. So just a word or two on this is very important. Why is Yemen subjected to bombardment? Why is the Islamic Republic of Iran subject to bombardment? You can look at the policies or ideologies of any government. Well, you can see why they get attacked by the West is only if they refuse to abandon the Palestinians. Do you know the Islamic Republic of Iran has repeatedly been offered a deal over the past 25, 35 years? If you abandon the resistance, we will lift sanctions. We'll integrate you into the region, and you will become another Saudi Arabia. Those countries that refuse to abandon, especially on this question of force, okay? Because if you abandon force, you become a beggar in front of the colonizer. Because Iran and Yemen refuse to abandon this question, they are subjected to bombardment. And those, if we think the costs are too high for us, look at the people in Iran. They've been under sanctions for 45 years. Look at Yemen. The poorest country in the region, Yemen, they fight for a liberated Palestine. They fought 8 years against a Western-backed war by Saudi Arabia. They waged that fight because they wanted a sovereign Yemen state that can prevent another invasion of Iraq, that can help free Palestine. And they bore those costs, 400,000 dead in Yemen. If anybody has the right to say we're not going to stand with Palestine, it's the Yemenis. They can say, hey, we're tired of 10 years of war, but that's not what they say. They say, we feel a sense of relief when the United States bombs us, when Israel bombs us, because at least we took bombs away from Gaza. How do we match that energy? And that's how we need to understand what happened in the 12-day war that was waged against Iran. Okay, so I would like to thank you for continuing to come out. What I would like to say is, and I'm going to end with a chant that I did last year, and I will do it again, but what I would say is that what I was just talking about, the reason that this can happen is this one word, is called impunity. Okay? The reason that so many of us, our entire lives, have been fearful that this could happen to the Palestinians, because you do not have another category of people, you don't have a people elsewhere in the world who are left unprotected to the extent that the Palestinians are, without a state, without citizenship rights, and in an international legal system dominated by an American state and a Western order that will protect Israel at all costs, right? That will protect this state at all costs. So there's impunity that is granted again and again. When they slaughter children, when they starve them out, they can do so because there's no cost that is associated with it. So I'm not going to say what not an organization needs to or needs not to do, but the question before us is, how do you change this equation of cost? How are costs raised sufficiently so Mark Carney can no longer just say, hey, I condemn this. Mark Carney actually has to step in and say, look, I'm concretely stopping the flow of weapons, and I am going to actually boycott anybody, it doesn't even have to be Israel, anybody who's not stopping the flow of weapons. How do you organize to do so? Every day when you wake up, think, what have I done to raise the costs to the genocide? That is the question that stands before us. So as I started off by saying, and this is the chant here, okay, this is very important. We are both too late, but we are both heading to a future that we must insist will be ours and will be for the people of a liberated Palestine. Okay, so there's two times. We're too late, but we're still moving to the future. The people of Gaza should have never had to suffer what they have suffered. Okay, there's two parts to this chant. And just follow me when we do it. Can everybody raise one hand up for me?